conversations involving free agents, which has never happened in my career. So I wanted to offer my services as a recruiter.
But it ain't new though.
I continue to find joy and happiness in things off the field. There's still a big competitive hole in my body that I need to fill. And I want to still play, and as long as I feel like I can give 100% to the team, then I should still play.
Yeah, I run New York, and I walk the walk like a Teflon dog. Boy, I run New York. When I come out of court, yeah, I pop the cork. I keep it gangsta, hey y'all. I get it.
What a wild day in the NFL. The story of the offseason finally resolved. We think Aaron Rodgers back in camp, but it's not over. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin live with you for the next 4 hours on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, Sirius XM Channel 80, and your smart speakers. Welcome into the show. I'm Ryan Smith. Bart Scott here. Sam Acho here. And I got to tell you guys, when they asked me to do this show a couple weeks ago, I was thinking, okay, middle of baseball season, maybe trade deadline, maybe NBA draft. But the NFL yesterday, I mean, could it have gotten bigger than this? We've been talking about Aaron Rodgers for months. That story's finally resolved. In fact, don't let me summarize it for you. Here's what Adam Schefter put out earlier today. He put out a tweet yesterday, which I love because he just summed up everything that happened in the NFL in this incredibly busy day. Just today, Lamar Jackson has COVID. Trey Lance has a new deal. Dak Prescott has a latimus strain. Deshaun Watson has a practice in. And Aaron Rodgers has a new wide receiver. Oh, and by the way, he spoke for about, 7-8 hours on everything on this scenario. And I got to say, you couldn't ask for a bigger day in the NFL, right?
I mean, that's the NFL, right? Listen, it's always going to steal the spotlight. So many subplots, so many stories. Ryan finally speaks. And listen, what I appreciate about it is the transparency, right? You didn't think that he was coming in with the traditional type of answers to everything. The fact that he came in and I think he gave him about 40 minutes of real time. He didn't duck any questions. Now, am I satisfied with it? No. Like I said, when I go up to the upper room and I go see 12 pounds, 6-ounce baby Jesus, I'm asking for these couple of these months back that I wasted on my life. Because to me, it feels like a nothing burger. We did all this to get back. Really? Randall Cobb? That's what we've been waiting for? This entire time was freaking Randall Cobb? Now, Jesus, please give me that time of my life back.
Sam, I got to tell you, it doesn't get any bigger than this.
Yeah, this is a big day. This is a really big day, especially in the media world, but also for the Packers, also for the NFL, the landscape of the NFL, because there was conversation that Aaron Rodgers wouldn't come back. But what I love the most about today, is that this dude brought receipts. Aaron Rodgers literally, media, right? Okay, let me do an interview. All right, gotta get out. I got 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Last question.
Yeah.
There was like 7, 8 questions all at one time. Aaron Rodgers looked at them and said, let's go one at a time. You'll all get a chance. This dude he said, vets, Charles Woodson, Jordy Nelson, Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews, Randall Cobbs, James Jones, John Kuhn, Brett Good, TJ Lang, Brian Bulaga, Casey Hayward, Micah Hyde. He had receipts.
Yep.
He said, I talked to a majority of these guys to get their experiences to see if they were treated in a similar fashion as I'm being treated. And apparently a majority of these guys said yes, number one. Number two, he said, man, what's the plan long term? We all know in the NFL and really in any sport, they're always drafting your replacement. So this is really nothing new. It's not like it's like a brand new thing. You're drafting your replacement, right? Calais Campbell's going on year 15 or 16 in the NFL. 7 years ago, they drafted his replacement in Arizona. And so he's a Pro Bowler, maybe in the Hall of Fame, right? So we all know that getting a replacement behind you drafted happens. But then he brought receipts. He said, I want something more long term. And then he said, man, free agents. I want to say. So talk about a day in the NFL where you get your star quarterback, the star quarterback, coming with receipts, giving time for everyone. It was ambiguity at first. There was, he's not really saying what he wants.
Sam,
he said,
I'm sorry, Sam. First of all, you're not gonna come up here and just start using all these college words. I don't know what he got. I got an associate's degree. Don't be using all these big words.
Before you guys get into all the college words and all that, let's just break it down for everybody because not everybody heard this. I want to go through all of this because we got a couple hours here. I want to go through all of this and go over every statement because the biggest thing is here, he put this organization on blast like we've never seen before. He was honest. He was blunt. He was everything you want in an NFL player after a controversy.
And more. Everything and more.
But he started out talking about how he was so frustrated with this organization, so frustrated that he was contemplating retirement. Take a listen to this.
Yeah, that was definitely something I thought about. I talked about how important being a full-timer was for a long time. This was the first time to spend the off-season away without a COVID year or a lockout year. And I enjoyed it. I really did. I took time working on myself and trying to better myself in a number of areas where I feel like I could improve based on my own patterns and conditioning. And it was a lot of growth in that process. I continued to find joy and happiness in things off the field. However, there's still a big competitive hole in my body that I need to fill. And as I got back into my workouts, I just realized that I know I can still play and I want to still play. And as long as I feel like I can give 100% to the team, then I should still play.
Okay, it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Bart, what did you think when you heard that? I mean, coming off an MVP season, he is so frustrated that he's thinking about leaving the game.
I mean, for me, I thought it was a bluff all the time. I'll tell you what, Pat Sajak's like, I knew you didn't want none. You didn't want to compete with me. Yeah, Jeopardy ain't got nothing on Wheel of Fortune. But I tell you what, when I hear some of his thoughts process, and I think about Aaron Rodgers, he wanted control of the narrative, right? And listen, the same thing make you laugh, make you cry. And you talk about what the reality was and why he wanted to talk to all those former players, right? Because he wanted to know their experience, because he was next up. Right, it was his turn to be treated like them. And he's like, I'm Aaron Rodgers. You shouldn't treat me like this. I'm the best player, arguably, in your franchise history. But then you see Brett Favre, same thing happened to him, right? So I think this was more about him having control of his future. He'll come back, give them a year so they can be able to try and run it back, last dance. But he knew that it was coming to an end, and everybody knows that. This happens to everybody, right? But, what he wanted to prove is that you guys chose wrong. Right, you picked too early, much like Tom Brady, right? We've seen this happen with Tom Brady. Now, they didn't move up in the first round to replace him early, but it happens to everybody. He was next up. He was like, how dare you treat me like this off of an MVP season? But it always happens. He understands that, after this year, they have an easy out in his contract, and it was probably more likely that they were going to go with Jordan Love. And then he wanted to be able to control where he went. He got what he wanted. He got the year 2023 taken off his contract. And now he can control the narrative. And hopefully when he wants to be, traded next year, they'll find a destination that suits him.
Go ahead, Sam.
Just a quick shout out to all the people who claim they all knew. So many people, it's like, I knew he was it's not even you, Bart. It's a lot of people. I knew he was going to come back. I knew.
Wasn't me. I didn't.
Let me give you all this little quote from one of my favorite movies. Maybe one of the greatest movies of all time.
Oh, okay. I'm listening. I'll speak movies.
Okay.
Men in Black.
All right.
Y'all remember when Agent K, Bart, don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. Y'all remember when Agent K, hold your tongue for 30 seconds.
I got you.
Remember, he was sitting down. It's like, are aliens real? And he looks at Will Smith and he says, 1,500 years ago, everybody knew that the Earth was the center of the universe. He said 500 years ago, everybody knew that the Earth was flat. And he said 15 minutes ago, you knew that humans were alone on this planet. He said, imagine what you'll know tomorrow. Yesterday, we got a chance to find out every single thing. I recommend anybody who cares about football or the Packers or the NFL or anything. If you want to get an inside look, and Bart knows this, right, firsthand, I know this. If you want to get an inside look at how stuff really goes down, go listen to this 31-minute and